This video will discuss how the Catalyst project will help address the social ideation pain points. There are 10 pain points that we have identified so far in our preparation for the project. These will be described in more detail in the upcoming slides.
Argument mapping can help with this. It does so by the simple but powerful trick of organizing contributions by topic rather than by time. Contributions are broken down into issues, ideas, and arguments. An issue represents a problem that needs to be solved. An idea represents an approach for addressing that issue, and an argument represents a point for or against an idea. A for point is called a pro, and against point is called a con. Every point can only appear once and is attached to the point it logically refers to. A discussion in an argument map would always begin with an issue which represents the question to be addressed. That would be linked to one or more ideas representing ways of addressing that issue. Ideas themselves can raise new issues, and those issues, of course, can raise their own, can have their own ideas responding to them. Every idea can have a whole tree of pros and cons interleaved with each other that discuss the merits of that idea.
The first pain point is platform islands and balkanization. The question is, how can we create and maintain shared deliberation spaces, avoiding the balkanization that can often occur with social media? The figure on the right, for example, shows the connections between left and right-leaning political blogs in the United States, right being red, left being blue, and the lines indicating the connections between the blogs. As you can see, left-leaning liberal blogs tend to connect to each other, right to each other, but there are few connections between them. So there's very strong balkanization in their discussions. Deliberation maps can help address this problem by co-locating all the competing ideas and arguments so users are exposed to all perspectives. For example, in this deliberation about what New York State should do about wind farms, we can see that all the arguments about New York State installing wind farms are co-located, irregardless of the social media source they originally came from. A second important pain point is the idea of cognitive clutter. And the question is, how can we reduce cognitive clutter produced by social ideation tools? Existing tools tend to create flat, disorganized lists with much duplication. This picture, for example, is an example of the set of ideas in the Dell IdeaStorm ideation tool. And this is just part of one page of 21 pages. Finding ideas in any particular topic is very difficult. You basically just have to read the whole thing. Deliberation maps, by contrast, self-organize the content by topic, making it easy to find existing content on a topic and therefore ensure that you're duplicating it by adding it a second time. For example, let's say we want to check whether this map on climate change solutions includes any ideas on public transport. So public transport will be an action for achieving climate change fixes, and it would have to do with reducing the energy intensity of services, since transportation is a service. And then we find that there is an area on more efficient transport, which includes, among other things, using public transportation. A third pain point is shallow, unsystematic coverage. Existing social ideation tools tend to generate many shallow ideas, and there's no guarantee that the ideas cover the space, the problem space, systematically. Deliberation maps can help in several ways. The customer can specify the set of issues, the skeleton, that the community should consider. It's easy to identify issues, topics that have not been covered yet, and therefore to encourage the crowd to spend more time there. And finally, users can collaboratively refine each other's ideas, so you tend to get more deeply considered ideas rather than many shallow ones. For example, let's say I want to begin a discussion on how we can build more efficient transport. In addition to setting the main topic, I can define some sub-issues which represent questions I want more detail on. For example, what the passenger capacity should be and what the power source should be. And it's easy to identify undercover topics because they won't have any, or they'll have relatively few posts underneath them. Also, users can collaboratively refine ideas. For example, let's say a couple of people have already suggested different power sources. Someone else can come along and suggest some refinements are needed about the electric choice. For example, what kind of battery? So one person can raise a question, and then others can begin to offer solutions for it. So for example, someone else can come around and suggest that we use a lithium air battery. Or a third person may come along and suggest we use a lead acid battery. In this way, the whole crowd can work together to refine the space of possible solutions. A fourth pain point involves poor summarizations. How can we help summarize the state of a complex debate so it can be easily grasped, understood, and shared? A deliberation map is organized in a logical, hierarchical way, as we've seen, so users can get a top-level view and then dig in as deep as they want. We will, in addition, develop algorithms that convert argument maps into question-focused narrative summaries. For example, a person can ask the question, what are the strongest arguments for this idea? And be presented with a narrative which summarizes just the strongest key points from the portion of the map related to that idea. A fifth issue with socialization tools is poor visualization. How can we visualize what happens in an online community so that we can understand what is happening and guide it effectively? Our project will develop, for this purpose, analytic tools that help enable a visualization of how well a deliberation is going. For example, whether it's ready to harvest, the content is mature, or whether dysfunctional dynamics such as groupthink or polarization are taking place. In addition to that, it will develop a dashboard that presents these metrics using intuitive visual metaphors. For example, an unbalanced argument, which has, for example, many pros but not cons, could be represented using this simple figurine. A sixth important pain point is lack of participation. And how can we enable productive participation when we have large and very diverse groups? Research in social media shows that a key enabler of large-scale participation is allowing people to make small contributions that are easy for them, micro-contributions. Large-scale deliberation systems do this. The maps are built for many small contributions, including rating a post, commenting on it, editing it, or adding a single post. Our research will enable this further by developing personal attention mediation alerts whose goal is to learn what a user is capable of and point each user to the parts of the map where they can do the most good. Our evaluations in the past have demonstrated that successful deliberations with over 400 participants can be supported by a large-scale deliberation system. A seventh pain point is poor idea evaluation. In existing social ideation systems, users don't build upon each other's evaluative expertise. They just rate each idea in isolation. In a deliberation map, people can enter arguments and counter-arguments for each idea for everyone to check, correct, and learn from, and therefore can inform making better evaluations of the ideas they support or counter. For example, let's say I'm trying to decide how to rate this idea of planting trees as a climate change solution. If I click on the post, I can see the arguments that have been offered in favor of it, and I can take a look and decide if they're convincing to me as a way of deciding whether or not I like the idea or not. I could also add new arguments, both pro and con, for others people to benefit from. An eighth pain point is lack of innovation. Most creativity tools were designed for small teams and face-to-face settings. We will extend these tools to support large-scale deliberations online. For example, by using the argument map structure to make it easy to recombine ideas in order to generate new novel ones. A ninth pain point is the issue of non-representative decisions. How can we ensure that the ideas that we come up with suit everyone? A deliberation system can help with this by helping crowds generate and evaluate a wide space of ideas, as we've seen, and this can help ensure that win-win solutions are found. Finally, pain point 10 is poor commitment to action. How do we engage discussion participants into concrete actions? This is a large question, but one thing seems clear. People are more likely to act on decisions that they helped to make. And the whole point, really, of a deliberation platform at scale is to meaningfully engage much larger numbers of people in complex, important decisions that was previously possible.